Hey, my friends, it's Brendon, host of The Brendon Show, back at you with another episode of Striving in Chaos for The Brendon Show, talking about how do you deal with the difficult emotions, difficult reality, the frustrations, the fatigue, the stress and the overwhelm that inevitably comes from that weighting down feeling that we all experience when we're dealing with this pandemic that is coronavirus, and the shutdowns and the delays and the challenges and the straight up disruptions to our lives. How do we strive through that? That has been the whole focus of the series for you all on the Brendon Show podcast. And today's theme is about allowing and understanding negative feelings and emotions. Now, of course, not everyone would call them negative, and maybe that's not the right word, but those feelings we don't want. And right now, there's a lot of them, right? You don't want this anxiousness. You don't want this worry. You don't want this kind of frustration. You don't want to feel so snippy with your kids. You don't want to be so snippy with your spouse and your partners. But sometimes it's just like the weight of the news and the situation like grinds on your mind if you don't protect it. And I know you know what I'm talking about. So I'm here for you. And today I've got some big ideas for you to help you think through and process this situation in a unique way. And that is in a way in which you're going to allow some of these down days, allow these dark feelings, allow this part of you that's frustrated, allow this anger, but only to a point. We can accept the feelings that we are having sometimes as real, as true, as important. And sometimes we can acknowledge, you know what, I'm being a brat right now. How about I end this? How about I change my attitude? Because see, emotions, they come up. Whether or not they take hold of you and own you the whole day or the whole week or over these series of upcoming months, that inevitably will be a choice. Because see, the difference between emotions and feelings, right? Emotions come up like waves. They kind of pass through. They're a physical, immediate reaction. Like the emotion just can come on for no reason at all. You can just be sitting there washing the dishes and you get sad. Like it just can sometimes an emotion can be triggered by something you didn't even know it was triggered by. A song plays and all of a sudden you just feel this thing. But feelings tend to be more of like an ongoing pattern of emotions. That like a feeling is an emotion that you took, you kind of hung on to, and now you're feeling it, if you will, right? And so that gives us this allowance to understand like, oh, okay, there's a difference here. Now, how am I going to deal with these negative emotions? That's what I'm going to talk about here today. Okay, so first big concept, allowing. Listen, if you're having some down days, you're having some down days. If you're having some bad hours, you're having some bad hours. If you're frustrated, you got frustrated, apologize. If you're upset and you just constantly feel anxiousness about it, recognize when that anxiousness comes in, allow it to pass through. Now we're going to talk about what happens when they don't pass through here in a minute. But I think it's really important right now. Like overall, you have to allow the reality of life. There is an element of surrender to the truth that the chaos and the universe marches on without your permission. And soon as you can realize, wow, I don't have to control everything, freedom comes back into your life. As soon as you realize I'm not responsible for everybody else's train wrecks, freedom comes into your life. Wow, I don't have to control all the trains running in the entire universe, freedom. To know that you are a finite person with only so many capabilities in control of so much is actually incredibly freeing. Like I allow so much things in the world because I'm like, oh, I'm not in control of that. Not my job. That's okay. I see that's happening. Oh, okay. I'm not involved there. That's not my role. That's not my responsibility. It's not going on. And I can surrender to the reality of this moment that we are having in this pandemic, which is it's outside of my control. All I can do, what can I control? My own behaviors, my own household, my own way of dealing with my team, my own way of being role model for each of you. But I am okay with the fact that this is here. I can't take it back. You can't unbox the pandemic. You can't take back the last 2-3 weeks. You can't be angry for everything. It's like, okay, it's here. Let's take a breath. Let's recognize it's here. Let's go, okay. All right, I can't control this thing. I can control my behavior. I control my attitude. But there are things outside of me. And soon as you allow, soon as you are willing to surrender total control of the total universe, oh man, that's when peace comes back into your life. I know you know what I'm talking about. So ask yourself, have you been breathing? Have you been allowing the truth of this matter to be beyond you? Have you been accepting that we are here? Are you still denying it, fighting it, complaining it, hating it? Because that angst and that anger against reality, that's the ultimate cage, right? Denying reality, bemoaning reality, hating reality is never going to serve you. It's going to cage your heart. It's going to cage your mind. So please understand that there are things beyond your control, which I know you know, but I'm just here to remind you, maybe tomorrow you can allow the day to be what it's going to be a little bit. Yes, do your positive actions. Yes, be in command of yourself. But listen, if you have a bad day, you had a bad day. Wake up the next day, reorganize, recalibrate. Do something positive that day, even if that means you took a shower, you washed the dishes, you fed the kids, you sent out 7 emails instead of 40, you replied to 1 email, or you sent 4 kind voice texts. You can always do something positive every single day. You can always do something positive for yourself and for others every single day. And the further you get away from that reality and truth, the more you fall into victimization, in which you say, oh, I have no control. No, you could have sent 10 nice texts to people today. People say, well, I didn't feel like it. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to do any of these things. It's just the good news is we have this thing called psychology, and we have about 1,000 years of deep study in humanity of paying attention to how people cope with obstacles, challenges, frustrations, difficulties. And we've learned, look, there's positive coping and there's negative coping. There is such a division here. Everyone says, allow everything. No, because some people's way of coping is being incredibly rude. It's cheating, it's stealing, it's acting out against you in hard manners. Yes, we can be patient and understanding of those we love. We still have to have standards as a society. Come on. Especially in a situation where the vast majority of people are not infected or dying. And we always have to keep perspective in that way, okay? I think it's very true that it is scary. It is very true that we have a very serious issue. And you've heard me say this for 90 days. It's very real. But we can also be responsible for ourselves. So let's talk about those times when we don't want to be, when we just want to let emotion wash over us. And I thought I'd share a few ideas with you. When you have a negative feeling, here's a few things to think about, okay? When you have a negative feeling, the first thing I do is I say, oh, is this a passing emotion I'm just kind of having? And it's not super important. It's not taking over my body. It's not wrecking my day. Is this a passing thing? Oh, okay. Let me accept it. Let me allow it. Let me breathe through it and let me let it pass. Or is this a pattern of response? Ooh, that's the mindset shift. Is this a passing feeling or a pattern of response? Passing feeling, emotion came up. That happens. Allow it. A pattern of response, that's a choice. That's a conditioning. And so I got to go, I'm feeling this negativity right now. Did I feel it yesterday and the day before too, and the day before, the day, and the day before, and the day before? Oh, that's a pattern of response. I need to change that pattern of response if I'm going to be healthy. So my first question for me personally is this a passing feeling or is this a pattern of response? The second question I ask myself is this helpful? Is this helpful to my desired state of being? Is this helpful to me being a good, family member, to me being a good leader? Is this emotion I'm feeling going to be helpful towards the things I need to do today that I decided are important to me today? Not that I have to achieve everything today, but I said, hey, I want to do these 2 or 3 things today. And is this emotion going to get in the way of that? If it's a pattern of response, let me do something physical to change my physical state. Let me use my mind, use my thoughts to change how I'm feeling, and let me get going on. I think that's important. Another question I ask is this emotion or feeling verifiable? And I know that's not a popular word, and people say, Brendon, you just have to let people have their emotions. No, some of your emotions are dumb. Let's own it. Sometimes we have these concerns or worries or fears that are not based in any reality, and we spin ourselves out with them. And listen, it takes a conscious mind, an aware mind, a mind that can observe an emotion from a detached place without owning the emotion. It's that observer in spirituality. It's the noticer in spirituality. It's your mind noticing, or your spirit noticing how you are dealing, how you are feeling, and having the guts to ask. Your higher consciousness has the guts to ask, are you being a brat right now? Is this concern you have verifiable with any evidence, right? Because look at all the conspiracy theories going on out there. What happens? Someone sees something, they get angry about it, and they start creating all these reasons unmoored from any physical facts and in any reality. So they create a huge conspiracy theory to get themselves angry and to justify a pattern of response that's really victimization, not a pattern of response that is ultimately action-oriented or ultimately helpful to anybody. So all this negativity you see being spread, all these conspiracy theories you see constantly out there, you have to know that that is a pattern of response. When someone feels out of control about something, they create huge lists of reasons, whether or not it's tied to any facts whatsoever. It's a pattern of response that ultimately can lead to real difficult psychoses, right? Super paranoia that comes from, well, I felt something and I was angry about it. I didn't know what to do about it, so I invented stories to justify the anger. So it's important that conscious people say, are these concerns or thoughts or feelings or emotions I'm having, can I tie it to anything that's verifiable? Because maybe I'm just spinning myself out right now. So notice I've said 3 things so far. Is this passing or a pattern response? Is this helpful? Is this verifiable? Another one I think is really important to all of you right now is this feeling, thought, emotion, concern, worry, fear, is it fair? Is it fair to you? And here's what I mean by that. Some of you are so hard on yourself, you're not being fair to yourself. Fair to yourself means, it's okay, I'm tired right now. I've been just homeschooling for the last 16 hours. I had to feed 5 people. I had to deal with the team. I had to deal with my spouse who's also kind of moping about. And listen, you're actually working super hard right now and you're being so hard on yourself. That's not fair. The thoughts of, I suck. Why am I not in total control? Or how come I haven't beat this yet when all this, because you know what? The world is in chaos a little bit. It's fair to feel a little like out of sorts. It's fair to have a down day, a sad day, an uncertain day, a doubtful hour. Those things are fair. So it's like when I feel it, I don't like, this is stupid, I'm terrible. And even if I don't know that it's helpful, even if I don't know it's verifiable, even if I think it's, something that's really more of a passing thing than a pattern thing, I can still be fair to myself and say, man, you're tired, Brendon. You've been doing, I don't know if you all know this, but I've done 67 videos for you in 5 days that I filmed here, my little side room that I edited, that I put up in brand new web pages. I put in brand new series. I've had to upload, download, export, all this stuff, 67 in 5 days. It's okay that I'm tired. That's fair, right? Your emotions, you have to judge as real, but also as fair. And listen, some of you all need, someone just said, you need to take a nap. You need to meditate. You need to eat some food on a more scheduled basis. You need healthier food on a more scheduled basis. Yeah, get your workout in. Yeah, do the things that are fair in self-care. Some of you haven't been fair to yourself because you've given yourself no self-care. And now you're surprised that you're frazzled, upset, angry, frustrated. You haven't taken care of yourself. Of course, you're going to fray at the ends. So take care of yourself. This fairness thing is about giving yourself credit. It's about giving yourself grace. It's about allowing the realities of the difficulties of the moment. It's allowing the hardship. It's allowing yourself to be bummed that it's not exactly the way that you used to know it. But you can do that. You can allow it without living there for weeks. See, emotions become destructive when we grab them, we define them, we hold that feeling, and we hold that feeling for weeks and weeks and weeks without taking congruent action to make ourselves better. If you just sit with it and you stew on it and you make it bigger than it is day after day after day, week after week after week after week, we know from psychology that is not a helpful or a healthy response. And I know you know that. So just reminders. Okay, what else? I also ask myself this question. What would my strongest, most helpful, courageous future self advise me to do? Don't worry, I'm not schizophrenic, but I do sometimes imagine myself next to myself as a different personality, asking a future self, saying, hey, here's a better way to cope with that. Because think about how much pain we have caused ourselves in the past when we did not consider how would our best self approach this. Instead, we jumped in from reaction versus that conscious point saying, how would my highest self deal with this? I know that I'm hooked, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm worried, I'm scared. Got it. Okay, let me allow that. That's real. But let me also ask, okay, if my 5-year healthiest, strongest, best looking, sexiest self showed up and was standing next to me and coached me, what would they coach me on? What would they say in a loving way to me? What would they share in a loving way to me? Okay, and the last question that I'll ask myself when I'm having these emotions is, what can I do to connect socially with people right now? When I'm in any negative emotion, when I'm in fear, when I'm in hurt, when I'm in doubt, when I'm in sadness, when I'm in fatigue, I know, and we know from psychology, the greatest amplifier of positivity in people's lives, the thing that actually is the only thing that has scientifically been proven to help people live longer than anything else, not your diet, the power of positive relationships. So if I'm bummed, hey, let's reach out to the people. Hey, let me text my friends. Hey, let me do some FaceTiming. If I'm just in a funk, you don't have to fix the funk by yourself, okay? You can fix the funk by connecting with somebody else and let them lift you up. See, you don't want to be a burden on people. That's why I love you all. If you're watching me, you're into personal development, and one of your biggest fears is being a burden on other people. But listen, you can be a friend. You can reach out to people. Sometimes you don't even know it, but just talking with friends, you talk things out and you feel better after the phone call. They weren't burdened. They were just like chatting with you. You were literally talking about something stupid, about the weather, about some show you're watching. You hung up, you felt better. They didn't feel like you were bringing them down. You were chatting, but in the process of chatting, you found yourself again. Because sometimes you're in your head and talking through things, even dumb things, talking about how you made that meal or talking about the show or talking about what the kid did that was so cute. And all of a sudden it kind of just smacks you out of it. Social connection is everything. I am one of those people who very early on said, I do not like this whole social distancing thing. I like physical distancing, but we don't have to disconnect socially. We don't have to detach socially. The phrase we got super wrong. History will judge us as kind of silly about that phrase. Instead, physical distancing, quarantining, self-protection, those are good things. But listen, don't pull yourself away from everybody, because it is everybody who makes you uniquely you. It is everybody who makes you have a better quality of life. Listen, the whole world and everything we know about happiness is actually relational. It's relational. Right? You put, like, what is the worst thing we do to people when they do something bad? We lock them in prison by themselves in the hole, right? Putting a human, like, that's torture. We seek and crave connection. So when you feel, quote unquote, tortured or sad, don't lock yourself away. Call people, FaceTime people, Zoom up with people, get back in the game with human beings. And I think that will appreciate everything. All right, let me share those with you because I had a list here for you. If you missed it or you joined us late here, please remember all episodes of these Striving in Chaos things I'm doing here for you, they are on the Brendon Show podcast. We pull all these audios, we put them up on the podcast, and I'm hearing from thousands of people like, oh my gosh, this got me through my day. Thank you so much, Brendon. So please make sure you subscribe to the Brendon Show podcast. The link is in my bio on Instagram. Just smash that thing, listen to wherever you listen to podcasts, and download all the episodes called Striving in Chaos. Because guess what? The chaos is going to continue. The uncertainty is going to continue. So you have to continue striving to live a high quality of life, even when it's difficult, hard, inconvenient. That's life. So what did I share in this episode of allowing and dealing with negative emotions? Number one, when I feel it, I ask, is this passing feeling or is this a pattern of response? Number 2, is this feeling or emotion or thought helpful to who I want to be, how I want to experience my day? Number 3, is it verifiable? Number 4, is it fair to myself, others, or the world? Number 5, what might my future self suggest that I do with this? And number 6, social connection. How can I connect with somebody to help me fix this funk? I hope that this has served you. Now, as always, I want to give you a couple reminders, and then I'm going to take some questions with you. A couple reminders. For 90 days, I've said the same thing. Number 1, adopt the role model mindset. If you frame the day as I'm going to have a positive attitude, I'm going to keep a good attitude, and I'm going to be a role model to those around me, you're not always going to get it right. But that intention alone will change your perspective. It will change the color of the lenses in which you see everything happening, and it will put on you a strong and a good responsibility for others. Because listen, the world is watching. Your kids are watching, your team is watching, your friends are watching, and you can be that positive light for people. You don't have to be at 24/7 for everybody. But if on a more consistent basis you are that role model, you will feel that pride and that strength re-enter your body, and that is invaluable. Number 2, optimize your health and wellness. Give yourself mental grace and allowance and freedom by doing your meditation, by thinking about the things you're grateful for, by having a practice each day that optimizes your health, by moving, by eating well, by taking care of yourself during this time so you can boost your immune system, so that you can also feel physically well, which will help you feel mentally well. Number 3, skill up. You got to skill up. You have to skill up. Be taking your online courses. Be studying. Be listening to podcasts. Be reading books. Be learning the new skills that are going to be required for this new era. I think all of that is important. Don't just take downtime. Consume less, just straight up entertainment to escape, and a little bit more education to develop. And I promise that will also give you an incalculably powerful strength through this all. Surround yourself with personal development right now, spirituality more than ever. I promise that will serve you. If I can help you with that on Instagram, just go listen to the Brendon Show podcast, any episode. Every topic you could possibly deal with in your life is somewhere on the Brendon Show podcast, so go scroll through that. If you're interested right now, we've got courses. Join my email newsletter list at brendon.com. I've been giving out free courses, literally thousands of free things all over the internet. So I hope that you enjoyed that too. So with that, I love you. I'm sending your family, your loved ones, you, yourself. I'm wishing you positivity and optimism. I'm hoping you hold your head up high. I'm hoping you be a role model and be a light for other people. I'm hoping you feel generous and grateful right now. I'm hoping you feel confident right now, because you'll figure this out just like you figured everything else out. You'll move forward. You'll be okay. With enough time, energy, effort, focus, things will turn out well for you. The future holds good things for you, and you are stronger than you think. All right. With that, please, 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 give me a shout out down below. Tell me where you are from and ask me any questions. Tell me anything you're dealing with, and I'll try to help you out today. So I'm watching here the scroll go through of your comments. Hi, awesome. I think it says Beatrice, your first time watching me? Unbelievable. For those who are joining us today, if you didn't know, I record all of these and we post the audio up on the Brendon Show podcast, so you can listen to any of this. Let's see, there was one. Anna, what's the difference between positivity and optimism? That's great. Usually, optimism specific, positivity can be in the present moment, right? I can be positive today. I can be a positive attitude. Optimism typically is related to a time zone. So think about this. Positivity now, optimism tomorrow. Optimism is a future concern, right? Optimism meaning, oh, I think of tomorrow and I think it's going to be good. That's optimism. Positivity is, it's good now. You're a beautiful person. I feel good. I think this is going to turn out just great right now. Positivity is more in the present moment, typically, the way that we think about it. Okay, let's see. I'm coming back over here. Rachel says, how do you protect yourself when you're around negative people? OMG, watch my YouTube episode on dealing with negative people. It's epic. It's truly epic. But short, in brief, number one, be accepting of the fact they're in a difficult place. When someone is negative, rude, hurtful, mean, judgmental, those people are in pain in that moment. Maybe they've been in pain years. Maybe they're in pain just right there. They're in a bad mood, but they're in pain. So recognize that that's probably not who they really are. They're just in pain. However, if it's like constant negativity around it, also recognize, well, that's just them. That's how they're going to be. And I'm not going to let that infect me. I don't have to drown in anyone else's pools of pessimism. That's their pool. I got my own pool over here of positivity, optimism, hope. So don't feel like your emotions have to be controlled by anyone else. We have enough contagion going on right now. We don't need emotional contagion going on. Own your own reality. Own your own feelings. Number 3, make the request. Make the request. Let them know. Say, hey, you know what? Right now, I know our energy right now is a little off, and I'm letting you know I'm feeling like this tension. And can we change the dials? Can we change the conversation? Can we talk about how we're making each other feel through this situation right now? Because let's get through this together in a positive way. You listen. Everyone is so scared to call out negative people, and yet what's ever going to change negative people unless positive people say, hey, are you understanding the effect that you are having? Let's talk about that. Let's see if that is something that's real to you or if you want something better. Are you okay? And really understanding that. Please watch my episode on YouTube called How to Deal with Negative People. I think it will really serve you a lot. Okay, sorry, I'll scroll back. Michelle, what do you say about those totally taking a break right now? I think it depends, Michelle, how do you define right now? So what do I mean by that? Well, we're 2 full months here in the United States into the pandemic where there were a lot of lockdowns, entering 3 full months. And so what's happening right now, I'm okay with people taking a break, a day, 2 days, a week. But we also know if you stop and pause your life for weeks on end, that will not be healthy. Yes, because here's the thing. People are making a false dichotomy. It's either, people are saying, well, I'm either resting or I'm doing. No, you can do both in one day. You can meditate, work out, breathe, take a nap, cook healthy meals for yourself. There's 2 hours of the day on self-care. There's still plenty of the day to, clothe the children and make some food or send 3 emails. There's a false dichotomy in the world right now because when people are scared, they make everything binary, right? Safe or unsafe. And people are doing that right now. Self-care or do stuff. There is no division between having a peaceful life and a productive life. Why do you think that phrase of the peaceful warrior exists? Because you can encompass both. So what I'm telling people who are taking a break right now, hey, if you're taking a day off, a weekend off, a week off, that's cool. But if you stop your obligations, stop your responsibilities, detach from your dreams out of fear, distract yourself, become addicted to things during this time, that's not healthy. I think most people who are convincing themselves they need a long-term break right now are honestly also being irresponsible to their future. It's going to be a hard year. Skill up. You can self-care all day long and you can still study a class for an hour. Can I get an amen on a weekday, people? You can chill out most of the day. You can have 100% allowance, self-care, beauty, grace, and you can still study or reply to something. You can still engage life for an hour or 2. So for me, the people who are taking totally complete breaks, I think they're going to end up in a place where months from now, they're going to realize they should have adapted and asked, what is needed for me to recover? And integrated that into daily types of activities, daily recovery and progress. You can be peaceful. You can do self-care and progress each day, even if small steps. And I think that's what's important. Because if everyone puts their life completely on hold, that's on them. That's not the economy. That's not the economy. That's not the pandemic. Yes, it locked us in our house. Yes, it shut down a lot of businesses. Yes, it's laid off a lot of people. And believe me, I'm not being flippant about it. I've been in that position myself personally before, and I know a lot of people personally impacted by this who I'm coaching on a daily basis, who literally are sick, who have been laid off, who lost companies and teams of people. So don't think I'm some Pollyanna guy. I'm just real. Just because the world seems to have stopped doesn't mean you need to stop taking congruent, integrous action. It doesn't mean you can't progress in some small way, even if it's not as perfect or as big as you used to. Can I get an amen on a weekday? You can pause, you can do self-care, but to stop life will hurt your life. And what will happen is, in months from now, you will find yourself so far behind that digging out will take extra months on top of that. So all I'm telling people is, like, everybody, even if you're sad, even if you're emotionally distraught, every human being can still take a positive action every day. You got 24 hours. You're sleeping, 8 of them. If you're super bummed, tired, and exhausted, you're sleeping 12. Okay, you still have 12 waking hours. My God, you can do 1, 2, or 3 positive things for yourself. And if you don't feel like you can, then that is a mental health issues, and you need super support. You need a therapist for that. You need professional consideration, right? That's it. That's it. I don't think people who are taking a break right now for a prolonged period of time are recognizing that ultimately that doesn't become a positive coping mechanism, right? To stop life is not a positive coping mechanism. You can still do things, you can still send emails, you can still make calls, you can still connect with people. There's so many things. Listen, everybody right now who is being a little bit over about this, I'm here to say, you are so blessed and you are so lucky. Here's what I always tell people. If you have real reverence for life, how does that show up? What does reverence for life mean? What does real gratitude for life means? It means you recognize it's going to end. It means if it's going to end, you live it. So how does it show up? Real reverence for life shows up in time management. Not a sexy phrase, but it's true. If you had real gratitude and reverence for life, what would you do? What would you do? You'd live life. If you had real reverence for life, your activities each day would be connecting with people, being generous with people, being grateful, having your gratitude journal, taking positive actions for yourself. That's how it would show up. That's a positive, healthy, functioning person. And listen, everyone knows there's negative, unfunctioning people right now. And I don't say that in a judgmental way. That's why I did this very session for you, to help people who might be struggling with their thoughts to realize they can assess, is this passing or a pattern of response? Is this helpful? Is this verifiable? Is this fair to myself and others? Would my future self want me to do this or think this? What can I do to socially connect? What's the next right action of integrity for me, even if it's not as much as I'd like to do? Sorry for the rant, but it's such an excellent question, and I think it's an important one. Remember, you can have peace and grace and allowance, and you can still take positive action every day. Matter of fact, when you do both, you're much healthier. Okay. Maria, I love your Montana shirt. Thank you. Somebody had to call out Montana. Thank you. I love you. If you guys didn't know it, I'm just a dork from Montana who decided to try in some way to be an example and to help others improve their lives and achieve their goals. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Happy says, you look lazy. Thank you. I am. I've been really lazy this last week, creating all new funnels, all new content for you, 67 new videos for you. I've been at it. I'll tell you what. Thank you for the shout out. Let's see. Let's see. Business coach, people are used to being driven by a 9-to-5 job and they're uncomfortable adapting to situations. Yes. Listen, adaptation is by definition requiring you to change your comforts. And if you're in a place where you haven't realized how to adapt yourself to the situation, I'm here to say it's time. It's been weeks now. If you don't have a solid plan for yourself each day on how you'll care for yourself, when you'll work, setting up a little routine of when you might eat, work out, if you're weeks in and you still haven't found your rhythm, don't blame that on the pandemic. Blame that on consistency and blame that on intention each day. You'll find your rhythm. Yes, it's hard, but I know people with literally 6 kids at home, the spouse who had to come back into the house, who they're working now together, I know people who've been laid off. I know people who are like literally in dire circumstances financially, and they're still being like, okay, how can I get a little bit of structure into this day to get a foothold? It doesn't mean they have to control everything. It just means they're making the attempt on a consistent basis. I hope that serves you. Okay, let's see. A bunch of styles saying people are getting too annoyed with you being too positive. I feel you, babe. I get it every single day. How can you be so positive when people are dying? I'm like, people have been dying every day you've been alive, babe. People are dying. It's threat. It's fearful. I'm like, yes, and it was exactly that a year ago as well. If we stop our positivity just because there's chaos in the world, we would have stopped our positivity generations ago. There was always chaos in the world. You personally had a greater risk of dying probably 8 months ago than you do today. Why? You were probably in planes, trains, automobiles. You were out and about, you were traveling. You had just as much likely in the comfort of your own home, right? Not on planes, trains, automobiles, not out and about every day commuting, right? Like your children are safer than they have been in the past. Like people are missing the juxtaposition. Like you're actually safer today for those who are being quarantined, for those who are doing the hard things of being home, physically distancing. I'm not here to say there isn't this challenge and this struggle. Please hear me on that, because if you've studied anything I've done or taught for the last 90 days, I was the first person that I know in my whole industry to say, this is super serious. We need to think of this as systems thinkers. This is going to affect not just healthcare. If you ultimately affect the health of people, that affects economy, business, transportation, schools. Let's be aware that this is a systems problem. It's going to be major. So I'm not Pollyannish, and I was one of the very first in my whole industry that I know of raising the alarm saying, this is going to be serious. So let's set our mindset to be role models. Let's take care of our health and optimism, our wellness, and let's also make sure we absolutely skill up. So I've been here, and I believe I am not I am not understating that we are in a very serious situation, but I'm also saying, keep perspective. Keep perspective. If you're alive right now going through a pandemic, thank God that we have these tools to connect. We have tools to sell on the internet. We have tools to get things at the door. We have tools to continue on with our lives, even if in limited ways. Thank God it happened in this situation in which we have our ability to cope better and to cope together. I hope this one served you. Again, for those who are new to my community, thank you for being here. Love you guys. I'm sending you so much grace, so much support, so much cheerleading. If you didn't know it, I've been taking a tremendous amount of these audios. We're putting them up on the Brendon Show podcast, where you can listen to the whole series called Striving in Chaos. If you are really struggling mentally and emotionally with coping through this and finding your confidence, your motivation, your mindset, your attitude, please go listen to all the episodes called Striving in Chaos on the Brendon Show right now. They will serve you. I promise you. I promise you. You'll be surprised. Okay. Love you all. I appreciate you. I love your optimism. I love your strength. I draw so much firepower and so much joy from serving this community every day. So thank you for being part of HPX. That's what we call everybody here, Team HPX. You know, HPX stands for the High Performance Experience. There is another level of experience in life, and it happens when we become fully engaged, when we bring the joy, when we honor the struggle, when we show up for each other. And that's what we're trying to do every single day here for you. As Denise still says today, yeah, there's a pandemic, but you can still choose today, go out there and be reactive or be ordinary, or go out there and be proactive and positive, be a role model, and go be extraordinary. You can still do that. Love you all. I'll talk to you tomorrow.